guys, welcome back to another episode of Year of the Empire. This week we are reviewing the first Ghoulies. And what's your first thought of Ghoulies?
I've seen this one before. Like, I actually didn't remember it. We watched another thing that was very similar.
We watched Critters before.
I think we watched them within a few weeks of each other, so they blended together. I remember, now that I watch it, I remember.
Critters is better than Ghoulies.
I don't remember much of Critters.
I promise you, Critters is better. It's not great, but it's better.
It was, I think we were watching it, I'm like, it's not a bad movie. Like, I've seen such garbage in my life. Usually Sean brings a movie and then it's just horrible.
It's not trash.
So it was actually, like, it's watchable. The second time I watched it, I'd probably watch it again, to be honest.
Yeah, like
it's one of those, and I feel like a lot of Full Moon and Empire movies are this. Watch them with your friends and just have like a running narration between all of you, and I think this is one of those movies that would be really good with that.
There's like some funny lines in it too. Like there's this guy whose name is Dick, and he's trying to hit on a girl, and he goes, "My name's Dick, but people call me Dick."
And it's just like, and I'm just sitting there just like,
why? Why was that written into a
Like,
script?
I could see somebody saying that.
I know.
But like one of the girls like was like flattered by it. The other one was just like made a face, and I'm like, yeah, she gets how awful that was. So it was I'd watch it.
I would say this isn't a great movie. It's not. I would not even say it's a great Empire Pictures movie. I think we're gonna see better movies. I think
Have we seen better so far though? Trying to remember. I mean, we saw something with Wasp in it. That was kind of Wasp was kind of cool.
Wasp was kind of cool, and the Dungeon Master, I guess. I guess a bit of the Dungeon Master was good, and then I don't know. Maybe Metal Storm was more fun.
You know what? I think this was a better movie. This is probably the best quality that we've seen so far. So I'd say that. I mean, we're only in the third movie in? So I mean, we're only the third movie in. Best so far from quality wise. Yeah. Because like quality wise wasn't bad.
But it feels kind of boring at times.
I think what was I saying when we were watching it?
Of the three we've seen.
The plot was very generic.
Very
like
basic.
Somebody inherits a house or a property or something, and then property's like possessed, or there's evil, or there's some type of supernatural thing going on, and then a lot of times it either branches off, like they embrace it or they just actively fight it, and then after they fight it, and then there's a climax, and then it's over. It's a very generic kind of. How many Full Moon and Empire movies probably follow this? Quite a few.
Again, this feels like a lot of Full Moon movies, just was a higher budget. It's just, this was predating Full Moon by a lot, so this kind of is like the template they followed. Pick a bunch of small, creepy little creatures that are mainly hand puppets, and then follow that up with them barely getting any screen time.
Yeah, there was actually,
and
it focused more on, the main guy inherits a house, like, at the very beginning, there's a, are they Satanists?
I guess they're like Satanists.
Let's just call them Satanists.
They're trying to...
There's, like, pentagrams and stuff.
Trying to kill this, sacrifice this little baby, and then...
The woman's like, no.
Yeah, they save the baby. The baby grows up to be the son of the person who's trying to kill him.
And then the guy trying to sacrifice him, pass away, that's his father. He inherits a house. He's like, oh, know how I inherit that? It was just like, he was like, kind of like...
That's how the movie starts, too. Like, it doesn't show him before he has a house. He's just... at the house after.
And then he's like walking, and it's just like, hey, there's a grave here. Hey, there's a pentagram on the grave. Oh, that's not weird. Let's not talk about that.
No, we'll throw a party.
And then there's just the old man that's a caretaker. Hey, how you doing, old man? The old man disappears. You see him one other time, then you see him at the very end. It's
and he's in a huge part of the movie.
Yeah, he's like...
he saves the day.
He's like the Obi-Wan super wizard of it.
Well,
didn't see that one.
I guess we can't acknowledge it. There's this guy, like the caretaker of the house, called Wolfgang. He's played by, I think, Jack Nance's name. He's the guy who played Eraserhead. And so a very like established actor. You see him in the intro. I haven't either.
We need to watch that. You have it.
I have it because
we should review it too.
Okay.
I don't even know.
Now we got to review Eraserhead. Thanks.
It's kind of like Fat Albert. Okay, let's keep going. I'm gonna bring random movies up so we have to review. And I said we're gonna do Fat Albert next. Okay.
So this character, he shows up in the intro. It doesn't say a single word. And then you see him when the Ghoulies get summoned. You see him wake up, and he doesn't say a single word. And then he shows up at the end and saves the day.
See him.
And
he should have
climax, and then the movie ends.
He shows up in big robes, and it's just like the Guardian Leviosa. It was just like, what the heck is going on? But I mean, it was a cool character. I feel like it would have been better.
But
that's
it's filmed
probably
like
the problem.
a day.
There's no character development in there.
No, there's nothing that happens with these
Because
people.
the son that inherits the house, for some reason, they're like, hey, we're going to do something. He just starts drawing, like, triangle with a circle in it.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, where'd you learn to do this? I don't know, probably some book or something. I'm going to just do some black magic off the top of my head.
And he just goes all in. His eyes turn green, and they're like kind of wonky with a lazy eye.
Everyone was like, it was like, what? It just happened. It was like, it was a weird...
It was. His friends just are there for, I want to say, a body count, but at the same time, all the friends that die, which are mainly off screen. This is PG-13, by the way. Every time in the very end of the movie, after, Wolfgang saves the day, all of the friends' dead bodies come back alive, and they're fine. So no one really dies in this movie.
It was such a PG-13 movie.
I know. It was, honestly, like...
Which is weird,
It was
I think
competent.
The last two were like R.
Yeah, I think, I actually can't remember.
I think there was boobies.
But
There was at least boobies in one of them.
There had to have been. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Big
There was.
old bitties.
In Dungeon Master.
Yeah,
Anyways, we are
bitties.
digressing here.
Big old bitties. Continue.
In this movie, it's probably the most competent we have so far. It's just
it was
boring at times.
I feel like we're doing Re-Animator, I'm assuming. Right?
Eventually.
Yeah. Like,
Eventually.
I'm assuming Re-Animator's probably their
Holy Grail.
holy grail of what they did. This is probably up there, though, if I had to guess, popularity-wise.
This is probably the closest they have to what they did.
See, like I said, years
Re-Animator.
ago, me and you watched this. And we've watched, and like, Re-Animator's one people watch. I haven't watched it. I think I wanted to, and then you're like, we might be reviewing it, so I didn't. But it's one of those that, like, I didn't even know what Empire was when we watched this. We just watched it. I think we got on a Gremlins kick, and we just kind of watched everything Gremlins
Troll,
related.
Critters, Gremlins.
Yeah, so...
There's another one by, I think, Roger Corman called Mungies that's supposed to be the worst of the worst.
I want to watch that now.
Well, okay, no, Hobgoblins. That's the worst of the worst, and we saw that.
Did we ever finish that?
No.
It
was bad.
It's a movie that because like, I would say Dungeon Master would never watch it if I didn't know about it.
Yeah.
If we weren't doing this, I probably would never watch. I mean, I might, but we're weird, and we kind of like look for related movies and watch them. We never watched it.
Never would have watched Metal Storm.
Metal Storm. I almost called it Bullet Storm.
Okay, if I was like in the 80s and saw a VHS tape that said Metal Storm,
I probably
would have saw it.
If it was Blockbuster like 10 years ago or whatever, I'm old, but it dates us. If it was Blockbuster and I saw a movie that said like Metal Storm, I'd be like, yeah, we're renting that tonight.
Metal Storm. Anyways.
So, but like, just generically, I don't know I forget what else we're going to be watching.
We have Ghoulies 2. Eventually we'll watch that. I think that's our next review.
Oh, jeez. So that'll be interesting, but this is a movie that you'd actually watch, not diving into Empire like we do.
I stumbled across this movie, was out trying to track down Empire Picture movies. So, and the reason it actually is so big is this is the highest grossing Empire Pictures movie by a long shot.
More than Re-Animator?
Re-Animator, I just looked it up, made like $2 million. This made like $35 million. Yeah, I know, right?
I know Re-Animator's I think Re-Animator's kind of between a cult classic and a mainstream classic horror movie.
Because it's not like a normal person on the street wouldn't know it, but it's... if you're a horror fan,
if you like any horror, you know of it.
Ghoulies, you may know it, mainly because it's a ripoff.
But like
of
I said,
Gremlins.
I don't have a. I wish we did. If we watched this movie at the end, I could probably give a better like. But I'm thinking right now, it's the most competent, and it wasn't a super competent movie. But
the creatures look good. It looked like a full moon movie that actually had a budget.
Yeah. Well, like they do pretty good with their animatronics and stuff. These are puppets mostly.
But it was good.
They do a good job. Even outside of Empire, when they got into Full Moon, they do a good job.
And
so like that's kind of was their thing.
This kind of like showed them what their thing was going to be.
Kind of like look at like Bullet Storm, Metal Storm, and stuff. You got the practical effects. That's kind of their thing. This is where they're one of the first where they're like, hey,
little creatures,
little stuff.
Let's make a whole studio dedicated to said little creatures.
So it's a competent movie. So out of what I've seen, it just no development. It was mostly just the plot was just kind of the device to move the movie along.
There was like
but they didn't like give it any special treatment like you should with a plot.
There was nothing interesting happening,
which I'm not expecting like a Spielberg or a...
Well, we're expecting a Charles Band movie.
And
now, the reason, though, that this movie did as well as it did, because it was marketed very great.
Interesting marketing.
Yeah, because
I'll give them that.
The poster for it had, like, a picture of a gremlin. I called it a gremlin. A Ghoulies. So, people think, first off, it's a ripoff of Gremlins. People were thinking of Gremlins. They wanted to see more of Gremlins. Second, they had like a poster of a ghoulie coming out of a toilet that like went off very well with the public. Either people hated it so much that they were talking about it, or
they got a bunch of hate
mail
for that from people. Like, oh, my kid, like, I've been trying to get my kid potty trained now. You scared the crap right back up there. Like, because we always do, we try to watch these special features. And Charles Band had like
God, that interview.
He was Charles Band is fun to watch in these, if so, the bonus stuff with him. Because he's just...
This was the most brutally honest interviews I've ever seen in a...
Yeah, the main guy, not the main character, but the main character's dad that comes back
the villain.
He's just in there just like with his British accent. I can't do a British accent, so, pip pip a doodly doo. I almost felt like he should have had like a pipe in his mouth and just been like, this was a horrible movie that I acted in. I acted it with such stars in the past. This was a horrible movie.
I haven't even seen the movie. I've seen bits and pieces.
But, it was a bad movie. But it was a bad movie. It's kind of like that. And it was just hilarious. Even Charles Band was just kind of like...
He was the only actor they got to do interviews for this movie, and he just crapped on the movie the entire time.
I actually didn't see the movie.
Even Charles Band crapped on the movie.
This is down here. I'm up here. And then he's like, he recovers. He's like, well, I don't watch most of the movies I'm in. So that was him trying to be a little nicer, but like he just crapped on it, and it's like
I think he's having the time of his life in those interviews. The interviews was more entertaining than the movie was.
Actually, it was very entertaining because it wasn't like a lot of the other interviews we've seen with the whole full moon or any of that like stuff, where it's just like this is how we did this effect. It was basically like just the crapping on the movie and then kind of the process. And then the one guy's like, "Yeah, we had to sit on stage with like the puppets for hours, and we were like,
sucked. Everything about this sucked."
And it was just like. So it wasn't like it wasn't as much practical effects. It was just kind of...
But it was marketed so well, and it came out at the right time that it made bank, and it helped Empire Pictures do more movies.
That's probably why it did so well. Money. It was entirely like people saw Gremlins, were like,
and then they saw the Ghoulie and
Gremlins, Ghoulies. Oh, these might be similar, little creature.
The only thing that I'd like to finally say about Ghoulies is that I feel like there is a good premise there. However, I don't think I think the movie was boring and poorly executed.
I guess we'll see what happens
so
with the second
hopefully
one.
2, 3, or 4
I doubt
better.
it. Usually it gets worse. With
but
this type of
there's
stuff.
At least
the cover and stuff.
The concept.
The covers and stuff for this were pretty cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was a cover for 1, 2, or they just put that together after the fact.
Just 1.
So if that's the one for 1, I don't know if you can see that. It's
3D.
We'll invest in some 3D software. I mean, like their covers are usually pretty.
Oh yeah, because they got to appeal to people who are at like a movie
blockbuster.
Yeah, a blockbuster movie rental store.
Because like back in the day, that'd be like you walk into there and then you kind of just peripheral vision as you walk down that aisleway, and whatever catches you, if it's
whatever trash catches your eye.
Yeah, you don't know how many times you'd be walking down Blockbuster and you'd just be like, "That's almost a boob," and it would catch your eye. Or you'd be walking down like something like called Metal Store and be like, "Oh my god, I bet that's metal right there," and like so. I think that's kind of what they were going for. And you have to especially back then. Now it's like Netflix. It's important. It's not as important to have a good popping like cover.
It's kind of a lost art too. People don't put effort into it. It's just like that generic Scream poster, where a bunch of like attractive young people staring blandly at you on a black screen. That's like every movie in the 90s.
That was such a lack of creativity.
It's uncreative. This creative.
So you know what? A+ for that.
A+ for the poster. So we'll check you guys in 2 weeks and see if Ghoulies 2 is worth a watch.
If I get really into it, we're doing Ghoulies 3.
Ghoulies Go to College is the third one.
Oof.
Yeah.
Now I kind of want to see that. If you want us, are we doing Ghoulies 3?
We might.
If you want us to do Ghoulies 3,
one single comment and we will.
We'll probably already have done it by the time anybody comments on this. So
right after we review Hidalgo.